All right. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out for our second budget work session. We will come to order and I think I'll turn it over to Renee.
Chair, so the outstanding item that, that y'all left for discussion today was the school budget. There's been some mention of revisiting the solid waste fee. Today is here, and we would like, if that is the pleasure of the board, we would like to go ahead and deal with that matter.
Okay, let's, AJ, you just came. What you got?
Good afternoon. So I spoke to Ms. Pascal and all. So we were asked to look at the fee for the people that was not currently paying. So we went back to the board and we can lower it down. Peter's not.
55, for the availability fee and 70.
55.75,
Yeah, 55 to 75 for the disposal.
which would mean the people that are currently paying now, the 130, the 125 would see a $5 increase overall. And the people that's currently not paying anything would pay 55.
So the 125 that the residents are currently paying, that would go to 130, correct?
Yes, sir.
And residents that are not paying anything right now would be paying 55.
Yes, sir. So if you have at home service, you would get rid of the disposal of $75. 75, 165, 130. So it would be charged what separately, and then if they meet the criteria to have reduction, have the disposal taken off, we would take the $75 off and then just pay the 55.
So, but you come up with the same revenue as you presented us last week.
Yes,
At
sir.
125 and 65.
Yes, sir. The only difference is last week, the current people did not have an increase. This week, they will have a $5 increase. But it lowered the current people that's not paying the availability down $10.
Gotcha. What's the thoughts of the board?
What, what were you looking at doing on the hauling? The tipping, anything on that?
For swans for the town, my recommendation would be to lower them to $60 a ton. So that would give them a $15 a ton break. So he doesn't, so that way he would not have to go up on the town, because we will go up on our tipping fee for commercial trash, so this would keep it down.
So he would fall back from 75 to 60. Did I hear that
Yes,
number
sir.
right? 75 to 60.
Yes. He's currently paying 70, but
It was scheduled to go to 75.
yes, sir.
And the rate of those that we have some that are not paying, correct?
Not paying currently, but they would be paying them, everybody would pay availability fee of $55 on the way we are now, sir. Last week it was 65, so we got it down $10.
Any other questions, comments?
Nothing changes with the revenues still work out to be the same.
Yes, sir.
I went through the notes, AJ, find everything, and that's what we came up with, being fair, people, and everything.
So just how we got the number, just a quick recap, so took all the convenience site and maintenance, tipping, surcharge, maintenance and hauling, then took off the Yanceville containers, divided by the number of residents that are currently paying, amount to $75.
You still looking at putting a, site there somewhere in town for the,
Recycling,
recycling.
if the town agrees,
Yeah.
find me a location, yeah. If not, I could try to do it on one of the county locations, maybe behind the courthouse, somewhere in town, I would like to put a recycling container for the town resident.
But it'll only be a recycle.
Yes, sir. They'll have access to the compactor at our land.
And the town is made aware, right? Is that correct?
It will be,
They,
we,
they
if we
will be,
go
I
with
need
this,
to
yeah.
communicate, I wanted it to kind of get settled today and what we communicate.
I will say that I've been at the landfill most of the day on equipment. I happened to come around on equipment and there was a town resident at the compactor today, using the compactor.
All right, let's,
Do we need to talk about the mobile home parks or the apartment complexes?
You might want to share what we talked about this morning.
And so, for the reduction, y'all tell me how you wanna do it. A mobile home park that has 5 mobile homes in it. That's 5 dwellings, so they would pay the availability times 5, or they would pay the availability times 4.
times 5 in my mind.
Okay.
It's 5 residents. It'd be no different if I had 5 rental houses scattered about. Each one would be charged that fee with it.
That's whatever y'all tell me.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it would be.
That was our
That was what we thought.
recommendation.
Was, each one would be charged.
So an apartment complex has 10 apartments.
That's 10 different families, isn't it?
Yes,
A family produces X amount of trash per year.
and they have the same rights as somebody that lives in their own home to get in the car and go to the site.
That's my thinking. What the rest of the board think?
Yeah, I mean, the rental property I got, I pay the same thing on the rental property as I do.
Right, it's no
It's
different.
2. It's not-
Right.
it's not.
The only thing I see hitting hard with it, like Freight Park, one in Pelham's 32 units. So we have to have project price increase to cover that.
Yeah,
Unless you put a cap on it. But there's no more than 32 than an individual owning 32 homes in the county. But y'all tell me what you wanna do, I'm happy to do anything.
So somewhere like Miller. The tax office can tell us that's an apartment, but they really can't tell us how many units.
So I would have to get with GIS or 911 to figure out how many different apartments, because each apartment's like 1A, 1B. We would have to do a little work, and that's fine if that's the way we wanna do it, we can make it work.
I'm assuming, and I know that that's wrong thing to do, that something like Meadowview or Old Farm or what's in one of the streets, Sunvale, that would be, would that be assessed to the owners of the apartments? And it'd be up to them whether or not they wanted to change the rental scheme or not.
I would assume.
It won't be billed directly to whoever
No.
living in those apartments.
In case of Meadowview, the land's being leased. So the tax bill will go to one owner.
And then it'll be, so I know for suburban mobile home park, they've been talking about paying the whole fee. It goes directly to the landowner, then he assesses the fee, divides it up and adds it to the rent each month for them. Because they don't have a dumpster and they come to our compact.
Okay, so just take a mobile home business. If the owner of the park breaks it down at $55 a month, that's less, at $55, that's less than $5 a month. $5 would be $60 a year, correct? My math is right.
Yes, sir.
So to me, the fair way is you charge for each individual mobile home, and each individual park.
Just whatever y'all tell me, that's how I'll do the reduction.
Listen, yes,
What would it be for each mobile home?
$55,
$55.
just like it is for if you own a house.
But
I
if,
mean, wait,
I'm sorry,
No, no.
to interrupt. But if they don't have a dumpster, they would pay the $130 per mobile home. Because if that mobile home park chooses not to have the dumpster, then they would have to pay the $130. For example, Meadowview doesn't have dumpsters, they pay the full price per every mobile home because they haul their trash to us.
How they got them.
Not Meadowview, I'm sorry.
Somebody,
The one on 86, I drew a blank.
Oh,
Suburban, I'm sorry, suburban, I spoke wrong, suburban,
Line 86.
yes.
Just think my bone park's got 20 in it. That fee's going up per lot. That's $1,100 a year. So if you assess it back, the landlord would have to assess it back to the renter, which is going to increase the rent $55 a month.
55 a
I
year.
mean, not 55 a year, so then you gotta break it down by 12.
That's what I said, be less than $5.
Straight up 12 months, but it just runs on something to get back. When
All right,
How does this work? On like your apartment complexes on your section 8, stuff like that.
Wouldn't make an exception necessarily for section 8. I mean, to go to the landlord, just like
Okay.
anything else would.
okay, so if I'm getting the gist of where everybody's at on this, solid waste fee would increase for county residents that don't have any other options right now from 125 to 130. Residents that hadn't been paying or that have a dumpster or curbside pickup would be $55. And like mobile home parks and apartment complexes would each be charged according to whether they had a dumpster or not, each individual lot.
Yes. So it'd be $75 disposal, $55 availability. Everybody would pay the availability.
Right.
And if you don't have your own curbside or dumpster service, you would pay the disposal of 75, which would equal 130.
What's the consensus, Jess? Yea or nay? Tony, yeah, Greg,
Yeah.
right? All right. Let's go with them numbers.
Okay, we know how to do the deduction. Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you.
I think we're good.
You have a good evening.
You do, appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to the school system. I think we're about to get down to that. All right, I think that everybody has had a chance to look for operating request. And let's see, Frank, Tony, and Greg, Scott, y'all all visited some of the schools on Friday and looked at some capital needs. Brian, did you get a chance to go with them? I didn't either, so could y'all kind of fill Brian and myself in?
And we do have some pictures we can put up on the screen for us, just that we took that. Or what commissioners speak to.
If I'm not mistaken, this is a picture of it, and what's happening is if you take the main gutter, top, that's the gutter coming off the roof, well, that box. Right below it, is kind of where all your downspout goes into. And then it goes to the wall, and then, which, what's going to happen, these downspouts are put inside the wall. And they have, in other words, I guess, gotten stopped up over the years, and what's happening, that water's backing up, getting into that. Into the roof and causing some leaks. North and south have exterior gutters on the outside of the building, that actually go into a pipe that go under the ground and they go to a main transfer box, I guess you would call it. Those can be fixed. And when we talk about maintenance, that's something that can be fixed pretty easy. It's pretty much going to be cutting those off, adding on to it, digging out, that line and putting in a new line. These are going to be a little more challenging right here. I don't know if we can. I don't know what maintenance wants to do as far as that box. Will it be go in there and seal off the old? Tony may be able to elaborate a little more on that due to his construction experience. That was one of the things that we saw at school. There's I think it's 2 or 3 chillers that need to be replaced. One north, south.
And we do have about 20 photos if you want to
Go
flip
through them.
through them and y'all talk to them as you want.
Okay, before you change photos, out of the messages. Yes. All right, I see the gutter, just gray colored box that looks like probably 2 to 3 feet long, squirty gutter. Downspout comes and turns and goes inside the wall, am I correct?
That's correct. So it's got a 90 where it turns and goes back into the building. And what we're showing, there's another 90 turns and comes down the block wall.
Okay,
At the ground where it comes out from the building, somewhere 4 to 6 foot out from the building, there are a few cleanouts. To where 2 or 3 sets of these downspouts are tied together. In the past, some of them were able to be cleaned out. Some of them are something else. They're stopped up. We might jet them out. We might do other variety of things. But we also looked at maybe the possibility of coming inside of these boxes and maybe creating another downspout to take the water away. Then we have to do something with water, just not running across the sidewalks, just in case of ice and snow. Something may cause a hazard.
That downspout there is kind of unique to the rest of them. That particular case, you could bring a new downspout down, kick it off, to put some block here, and chill it. The rest of them will bring back inside the building. You have no areas there to run new lines that you cut the asphalt, that major site work. So it feels, simple fix to put a new one down, block that one off, and a new one down, kick it off. Chill the paint. Right.
all right, Scott, go ahead. That was working.
Again, there's a picture, if you see the bright, the black, that's where the water's running back.
It's backing up and
Backflow running down the wall.
That's where it's actually feeding into the metal that's on the building. The
Yeah.
green, you can see gutter on the right hand side at the top of the page. But it's letting the water run across that metal and come down block wall. This is the one that Tony was talking about, that we could actually go ahead and tap, maybe kick off towards the chillers. But you've got them every 20 to 30 foot all the way around this campus, so there's right many of them.
This is the Dillis.
Yes,
All right,
It's more than one spot like this?
yes. Well, that's the spot that we've seen that's running back under the soffit and onto the brick.
The rest of them are running back into the building until a case or a big line that runs turn. Then it runs to an outlet.
Right. These are our pumps. They pump the water throughout the building. It goes to all the air handlers in the building. And we have 2 pumps on this side that control the chill water. And then we have the pumps on the other side that y'all saw, I think, 4 pumps that pump the chill water. So each classroom has a radiator. You have one for the warm water, one for the chill water. These pumps circulate the water throughout the whole building. Both of these are starting to leak. And we will have to rebuild both of these and take these apart. This is that buildings. North and south, we have the same issues, but we've already rebuilt one of them south. So we're ahead of the game. We just put in new boilers at north and south. So we've already started making repairs there.
is it more or less just seals going bad?
Yes, sir.
So that's a repair and not a replacement
That
job.
is correct. We do have 2 circulatory pumps that are in the ceiling that come off the chiller. The motors we replace, but the pumps, in order to replace the pumps, we have to order the pump, and sometimes you'll have to get a pipe fitter in to get the new pump back in there if it's not a direct replacement.
It's just a picture of the old chiller that's gotta be, needs to be replaced. They got a new one beside it. That's the old. It's one of 3.
This one is at Dillard. This was the main chiller before they put in the new chiller. I think it's around 21, 22 is when they put the new chiller in. And, at Dillard.
Is this the original?
That is correct.
How long has school been?
Since two, 2000,
20+ years.
and plus that carries the over river.
It's just another picture on the inside of the gym. Very good looking back there, so there's-
At Dillard.
Yep. All this right here is it.
These are actually the actuators, so each classroom, we have two of these actuators. It controls the temperature in each classroom, so I can dial on my computer and cut this actuator down to set the temperature. And on the hot water side, it may let more hot water in and increase the hot water going into the classroom. And on the cool water side, we have the same actuator. These are 20+ years old too. They working on like Excel, something program in 2000. Well, these have to be updated every so often. And right now we're rebooting this program from a Windows 7 to a Windows 10. As of next few months, the Windows 11 program coming out will not accept a Windows 10 or Windows 7 program. So we're gonna have to upgrade not only the actuators, but we're probably gonna have to upgrade the programming with it all to accept the updates.
You said it was 300 of these
Is,
in all of the schools.
well, just in this school,
Each school. 300 in each school or 300 total?
close to 300 in this school.
How many you got, how many you got in the other schools?
The other schools, we cut them loose because it was working off of a program from '92. So we're working those manually with ball valves. So once we get it set, we leave it alone.
So if this is your,
This is just a deal, that's
the
correct.
other school, you got to manually set.
Right.
What's it? So if you're utilizing the ball valve, how do they regulate the temperature in the classroom?
So we have one person in the classroom with a gun, see the temperature coming out of the air ducts. The other person is sitting there, it's just like a water faucet. You stick your wrench in, you turn it a little bit, and you cut this one up a little bit. The only problem is like on hot days, then you have to dial it back per classroom. And once you manually set it, you leave it alone until the temperature outside changes, and then you have to go back and change them all again.
But my question is, the upgrade to this is just for 300 in the budget, $300 per unit, which is 90,000.
So you look at, this is just Dillard that we're talking about. North and south, is a completely different scenario.
And it's pretty much just unscrewing that unit out and screwing another unit in it.
That's correct. And then we have to go back and, put diodes into the computer system to adjust the voltage. Cause it's around 24 volts that actually work these systems, and we have to dial it back to accommodate for the new, voltage for these new, that's actually a new, actuator.
So, but for North School, you got $50,000 new actuators there as well. You got 150 and Dillard, 150 and North.
Right.
But I thought you said it north and south, you were doing manual.
North and south are different type of actuators. These actuators actually are going to control the chiller and the bulb. It won't have to control each classroom.
Are you talking about, I know you said you were doing it manually north and south there. Are you talking about reinstalling the new ones there as well?
Not at this time.
The only actuators you're talking about replacing are Dillard. All
Right,
right,
at this time. That's correct. The actuators at north and south, we will have to refigure as to what is going to take place there to control that system. If we get two chillers in and two new boilers in, then we will have to revisit each classroom to whether to work off the thermostat or whether we work off of these actuators. That's the plan that we have not put in place yet to look at. We don't have the chiller and we just got the boilers in, so.
Okay.
What's that gonna do?
I'm trying to remember where that was at.
I think it's a doing up on that, go upstairs.
That's in the gym. So we're in the process, these air handlers have drive shafts that run through them. So they do not make these parts anymore. So the air handler, I believe it's adjacent to this one, we just rebuilt. So I pulled the drive shaft out of it and had it rebuilt at Jarrett's. We went back and put it in. But it's like a $15,000 repair, but I think we ended up with $500-600 in the repair. We rebuilt a new drive shaft for it, so.
Iron go bad, we eat in on the shaft, so what happened?
And it ain't all the way down on the shaft. So we wanted to rebuild it.
They just built it back up at the machine shop.
Well, after he cut and made a new one.
Oh, okay. It's better.
Well, yes, sir.
That's just a belt nearby.
Well, we have to keep them because if you get up there, inside of all these air handlers, like I said, radiators, school system, 2021, 2022, I believe it was, paid a company to come around and clean all the coils. We have to periodically go by and clean coils. And we also change the filters. And if we open a door to one and belts broke, we try to keep them laying there. We change the filters, change it.
It's a single belt or double belt.
Some of them are single, some of them are double. The bigger ones will be a double belt.
That was just was something I took, just looked like it needed some
Absolutely.
better conduit.
You can see that, several things.
See right here, this is, go back here. Look. And this is a picture of it north. You see that brown gutter right above that bush? Those gutters are outside the wall, right? They come down, they go into a pipe, and that pipe goes from that building out to that drain right there. Well, in my opinion, this is a whole lot easier to fix. You know, if they can run in lines out, you know, unstop them. If you can unstop them, you can go to that gutter, just cut it, put in a set, I mean, I think and run it right to that right there. You eliminate the problem, get that off that roof.
Couple of these last year, we went in and dug up, right next to the building. They have metal canisters, that are put in there to, once the water comes down to the bottom, it kicks the water out to these covers. We went in and dug them up and replaced put a long sweeping wire on them. And we'll clean out this side as well as a 90 on it too. So we can clean them out as well as get the direction of the water going.
It's just a picture of how that gutter comes down. Right, goes in the pipe goes out. Oh. Yeah, and a lot of the ones I saw at North, I mean, they're not really close to the parking lot, but you know, where the water would be running out, where somebody would, you know, a lot of them are around back at the grass, so I mean, it courtyards. They look pretty easy.
This was back up in one of the corners. You've got 2 or 3 roofs that come into a valley right here. If it was to go there quick and hard rain, we will get some run over. I think the next downspouts probably 20 foot away from this one. And it, something like it is, it's a lot of water right here in the corner.
That probably using those downspouts.
Right, that's what we talked about, putting maybe downspouts, between downspouts.
Is it running over right there in the corner, or is it running behind it, running down the wall?
I think
It's running over the gutter and then back, and then the backside of the gutter.
I think it's staying on the outside of the brick.
But it could come inside of that same situation if you had some type of pinhole or.
Well, and nothing against that one, I don't agree with it, but if you go right up there at that corner, look at that camera, you see that white dot? That's holes in the gutters at the top for overflow. So, I mean, the existing ones coming downspouts, I mean, I think the only way you're gonna, is either to clean them out or either put in a new line. There's no way off. Because some of the rains we've had this week, that hole is not going to suffice, letting the amount of water come out. It's been coming.
If I remember right, those roofs kind of sloped into that corner and it's just overwhelming the downspout and the hole itself.
What it is, you got one right here, and I think coming down this wall, it's a pretty good ways before you got another downspout.
Yeah, that, I don't think it's designed for that, it's what's gonna happen, get a lot of pressure there, and shoot water across the courtyard.
Yeah.
And that will hold.
I think you can see that. There's a roof loop right there from the
Yeah.
pipe coming out. It's a whole lot going on in this corner. And, every now and then, if we have a hard rain, some will leak back in onto the block. And we have to change the ceiling tiles out. But, I know y'all had reports of water damage, and this is kind of what's going on our side of it, trying to resolve. These are the air conditioned drains. These are original, but they go into like a gravel pit bed. Right, size like a French drain around the school system. And a lot of these stay stopped up. So that's the reason, from my understanding, that they were cut loose. And I think they've actually got a vacuum cleaner that they run a hose up in there and pull all the sediment out of it to keep the drains open.
That looked to me like kind of a fix in the moment, but not really a permanent fix.
Absolutely.
Looking it back up.
These are actually screens on the windows. At the point of replaced. We talked about the shrubbery and different trees around the buildings. The buildings over the years, the trees have gotten up over the gutters in a lot of places. Should we prune them back down to the gutter line, or should we take them out completely because they're so close to the footings and foundation that the roots could run back in up under the foundation?
If they hadn't already.
Right. So we got a few points to address coming up. The trees were nice that they planted like it's south, they're pear trees, and they put off the humongous pears now. But I think we're at the point that is it gonna cause more damage to keep them, or? This is a walkway that goes out to the playground in north. They had, sure what class it is. It's at Oakwood, like EC pre-K. They were handicapped, and this is what this was built for. That class is now moved to Oakwood Elementary. But something that I think that had been hit by a lawnmower or something, we will have to pretty much take on these walkways and create some type of walkway to go to the playground. This is overhead at north to where a truck hit it when it was backing up to the cafeteria. A bunch of this has got, and this is actually the overhang of the walkway to where the kids are dropped off.
That's all water damage there.
Right.
Why didn't the truck company pay to fix it?
For 4 months, I wish I had an answer.
We don't know if that was the.
It could have been, they could have paid it. I'm just, I can't give you.
This is pictures at the new high school.
Be what? Yep. You said that roof had how much warranty?
So I'm not under. So you've got a warranty on the member being defective. The labor warranty, where 3 to 4 years. Now, with this roof being up there, so you're not gonna have the labor warranty at all. Normally, labor warranties are 1 year. Unless specified in a contract.
And wasn't that leak near that door downstairs that you went upstairs on the roof and found the,
No, I don't think.
okay, that was a different
I don't
one.
think that picture was, I think that was down the hallway just a little bit, but I don't know, once we keep going through.
And this picture, I just took that because y'all were talking about those gutters far back over there, and if I remember you right, you said the metal roof was actually pretty good shape. It was the gutters and maybe some of the flashing down on that end.
So the gutters and the downspouts are pretty much gone.
That on the gym.
Oh, this is on the old gym.
That's
At the top of, yeah, page 2. At the top of this first section that we're looking at right here, it goes with the stucco type, same stuff that you were seeing at North. It's mostly and got saturated from the gutters overflowing or being stopped up. And all of it's mostly loose. I talked about maybe going back with metal panels around this on the outside instead of the actual stucco cement type material.
I think it's.
Right. And putting new gutters and downspouts on it. The problem, if we do take up the metal and put new flashing down, we've only got how many more years really left on, was it 10 years, Tony? I think it'd be 50 years on this roof.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's about the, the life of it.
Right. So we could be looking at different potential coming in the middle itself.
That's the cafeteria.
Yeah, this is a picture in the cafeteria, above the exhaust tube, where it cook.
So we've got a exhaust vent that goes through the roof right here. That comes out the roof above to carry the smoke and stuff out. And we've also got a roof and vent pipe that is adjacent to it. And right behind this is actually a air handler, air conditioner that is producing a lot of moisture. And the water's sitting around this boot that's coming in to right beside of this. It all compiles right there in one section. And with the water standing, there's 3 or 4 different seams that are right there together. Any one of them could be leaking, but we know it's right there. We just got to figure out which one it is if we can get it to dry out long enough. Figure out if we got a hole right there, where the hole is exactly at.
And that's pretty internal to the kitchen and the area. That's not like on the outside edge of the school.
Right.
But
I don't think there was anything there. That picture in particular.
So I think we're in the east wing now, which is the old ninth grade building. Right here, we've got several things going on. We got 2 corners of the building coming together. We've actually got an air handler that goes through the roof right here. This part was built in 78, 79. The only roofing that I know that's been done to it is they put a 25-year spray on silicone type roofing on top of this, directly over top of the old membrane roof. Still think it's got a couple more years warranty, and they've come back and patched a few times last year. She would bring that to
With the east wing hallway.
yes, in the hallway. In this room here, we had a water heater rupture. We changed the water heaters out and abandoned the lines, that's almost. It used to be like a home ec type room there. There's another one that's right beside of it that, I think it's like science, like lab. We cut the water heaters out, they were originally they were doing. Some of the cabinets in there of that particle board type material. This is where we cut out.
And when the new school was was under construction, did the East Wing Ninth Grade building, was anything done to it?
Not
So
that I
it's
know.
still like.
The only thing done to the east wing doing the structural security camera upgrades.
It looked really familiar, so.
That might change that. Just in an eyeball.
I think a few of the commissioners were also looking at bringing back a lot of them.
Like you've got some air conditioning, chiller issues and a lot of roof issues. Main thing I see. Am I missing something?
There's a lot of paving that needs some attention, whether they resealing or cutting out, placing sections.
Right.
We didn't have any photos of that. There's a lot of paving problems. And maybe could wait another 6 months, another year, but it's, like that leads to another problem.
Well, that's my concerns right now are health and safety. With the schools and the kids, what I would really like to address first. My parking lots, sure, I'm getting in some need with them. But concern with the HVAC, starting to look at my boards now, cause summertime and we're not running the boards. Get my roof repairs, hopefully done this summer, if we're able, and, doors and windows, once we get everything secure and sealed up, then it'll leave us the ability to start on looking at other things.
I think school board said that priority was HVAC, replace the chillers, and they requested like $1.1 million, I believe, after. So went through and had all the HVAC related, $927,000 at one point. Savings like $160 million, and it was $28,000. And we went through and had everything on this list and came to like 1.8 million. So we just picked the priorities.
Right. Yes, sir.
One.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't know if you ever tell me that, and I guess one of my biggest concerns right now is the new high school. How many times if y'all had the roofing people back out there, try to find where these leaks are?
The last time they were here was, 24, and I believe, and I'm not sure when CT Wilson sent them out. Sometimes they tell them we aren't there, or if the maintenance crew, and they will go up on the roof and spray water and try to see if they can find the leaks. But, a whole lot of problems that we had was showing water damage, not the one that we saw, and not the one at the, staircase. But we had a whole lot of moisture problems with this building. We're trying to work out the moisture issue inside the building. Kind of been an issue from the word goes since I've been here. This year it got down to 12.6 degrees for an average of 4 days at the high school at night. We couldn't regulate the the heat in the building, and some of my classrooms were staying around 56 to 60 degrees. What we found out is this building was built And the building envelope of it was conducted during COVID. So that meant as much fresh air as we could bring into this building. We were also exhausting all of the fresh air or all the air that we heated and cooled back out of this building. So we went in and with the engineer and control techs within the last month, and we shut all these fresh air dampers down to where they should be regulated on a normal basis. Duke Power has been on me pretty heavy as controlling the energy. We're not shutting this building down but a few hours a night. To let stuff rest. We're picking back up roughly at 4 o'clock in the morning. And trying to keep the humidity in the air right, so we do not have mold, mildew, or anything in it. But right now, we're controlling the humidity coming in and out of the building before everything was wide. And we were getting moisture on all the piping. Condensation looking like we had a whole lot more problems than we actually did. So now we're starting cleaning up some of the problems that we've had, all the moisture coming in outside all the time. And we know of those 2 spots that I showed you.
I mean, I don't know, I guess I'm looking at it, maybe it's something. Board, commissioners, school board, get together, put their heads together on to get a remedy to this issue.
Right.
Because if we don't, if something's not done about that, it's never gonna get better. It's gonna get worse.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's a brand new building. It's a nice building. Bring it days out, burn it down. I don't know how we need to approach it. But I think somebody at some point I need to be held accountable as far as they get the roof and stuff. Hey, it's got to be, you know it's leaking. They can't deny that it's not leaking. And I do understand that there are times when you do it, it's kind of hard to find, but I think there are some stuff out there, but I heard the thing the other day about doing the test with dye. So when that dye ran into that, wherever it showed up, that's where it's coming.
We just had a lot of different things with this new school being built. And like I say, the condensation, you'll find in drops on ceiling tiles in a lot of different areas. So once I got one issue resolved, now we're start on looking for the main concern. I know 2 that I showed y'all, there may be some.
Leaks too.
Right.
And you said the last time Wilson has been out was last year, sometime in 24.
That is correct.
Have you asked them to come back out again?
No, sir.
I believe I'd try to get them back out. If they didn't want to come, I'd have y'all's attorney get in touch with them and say, this is what
Pretty
we
much.
Then they, basically have. As far as being in school, because I've seen them around a lot of places. I think they have some. The state contracts, come to each state, maintain. I think it's vetted, but probably specialized in that. That whole private.
So, Tony, you said it was 1.1 billion.
Yes, sir.
The priorities on capital.
1,116,000. What they're asking for.
All right, what other questions y'all got for the superintendent and the maintenance man and director? What have y'all got y'all tell us that you didn't tell us Wednesday?
So that was a discussion or a question regarding supplement, looking at a 1% or 1.5% increase across the board. We have those numbers for it.
Let's hear it.
And so for the market book, you know, what I told them, for 1% of our estimated salaries, it would be a total of $445,645. For 1.5, I actually got it down. I want y'all to write them down wrong. You get the second page. I misheard, so 1% raise, I think it's 1.5. So the number, the first one we ran was 1%, and then we have the 1.5%. But the 1.5, that's a simple difference. But then 1%.
I have had a lot of experience doing something that's on a flat basis, which was what was originally proposed, and doing it on as a percentage of salary. If you do it as a percentage of salary, then every time the state gives an increase, you gotta match that with something. And it is very, very unwieldy to manage from a budget standpoint. I recommend strongly you go with a flat supplement.
And this supplement covers all of our employees, they are all value. I think I have five inserts right here, so. This is very suggested it goes on the teacher pay scale. This impacts everybody that impacts children. Oh, I'm sorry. And there was a question I asked us about the current expense fund. So the front page is the total expenditures.
So we were, y'all wanted to see how we budgeted our local funds last year. I included, so the far left column is our budget for 24-25. The middle column is what we asked last year for 24-25, and then the 25-26 asked.
Yeah, anybody else?
What's the total number? That's that answered by proposals.
It's
The 166 on the certified teaching scale that would have received the first set of numbers with the flat rate. You generally would fluctuate over 300 employees altogether.
So on this handout you provided today, it's 1% and 1.5. We still have those numbers that were flat, 1,500 to 2,000. And just looking at that 1%, you handed out today of roughly 445,000. It's about the equivalent of 2,000 flat, which is almost 444,000. It's just a comparison.
I do agree with the comment that the across the board salary impacts all of our employees, which comes with keeping them. And so some of these budget works were done prior to my appointment, and I didn't get on the job at 15, so I didn't have much time to understand these things already in place prior to my appointment.
Yes, my experience of seeing a lot of things, you know, around the state. That, yes, certified is, I guess, your top of the line. You have to have it.
but you also, have to have to classify, because at the end of the day, when the bus went up and those people decide they're not getting anything, then when they leave, that's another problem, because I've seen it in a school system where I'm just one that if we got here, give one, we need to give all. That's my thought.
So if I was with the instruction, but I classified they actually.
Any more questions? Give that number again on that 2,000, it's 444.
443,718.
Less than 1,000, well, about $2,000 difference. That was what a $2,000 supplement.
That was for the 2,000, and that was just for teachers.
Floor is open, gentlemen.
I think I have a question about the operating expenses. You gave us a list of 5 pages. How do you go about deciding what county responsibility, school responsibility, was that the way it's always been?
It's my understanding, once we have money from whatever entity that it comes from, is in our local expense account. As expenses come, we have to make some decisions. That just in this way, it would get the can down the road a little bit, or is this something that must be done? And so I have not seen a formula we apply to determine priority. All I know is that it seems like everything is a priority. They all have some income impacts that impact instruction or the access to instruction. So we try to make sure that it's first safe, sensible, but sometimes with various business we have, things happen.
Well, just, for example, legal fees. You got legal fees as a county responsibility. Is that the way it's always been? How do you know that's a county responsibility?
Because we cannot take it out of state funds. The state of North Carolina has what we call PRCs, which is a program number. It's a 3-digit number. Each of those has also its own set of rules and regulations of what we can spend that money on. Because it's an operational expense, it ultimately falls on typically both the county and the school, because we ask the county for our local current expense, and then that's what that has to come out of, just as like our operational cost is unable to come out of state funds.
And so if you go back to that slide, I sent y'all a presentation a week or so ago about the responsibilities. So the local board of education, they govern local school, the local school administration, hire, fire, supervise school employees. They set policy within state guidelines. They preserve the school units, assess and manages. And that's what you're here to do today, informs county commissioners about your needs. So I think what you're asking about falls within that role from the local school. So that's the local board.
Do you know your numbers on enrollment? Or elementary.
Elementary. I think the backwards is 700, 605 high school. Over about the same time, south is like 286. Like 1.7.
About 1,100 elementary students.
North and south kind of capacity, 700, you say.
That's my understanding. 700.
Each school.
When they were built, they were K7 schools.
Yeah, yeah, they were. I remember that.
Building wasn't in place when they were built.
Exactly. So. North and south are well below capacity. In fact, south is less than 50%. It's at 286. North is about 50%.
That does not count our pre-K. Pre-K is not counted in our 80. I would see. 80 of them for pre-K students. I think there's 2 at Oakwood, 1 at North, 1 at South.
Yes.
So there's some spaces there. Then you know that we don't get 80.
Right.
All right, guys. No suggestions.
Let me ask you a question. What is, if you figure out, and we're looking at the 1.5 for the county employee. What is, I guess for better terms, county employee making 38,000 a year, what would that increase be for the year? At 1.5.
Yeah, it's about here's 5 something.
$25 a year.
That's on, that would be on 35,000. But our average is what, Mr. Renee, based on 42.
I don't know what our average.
Has the state said what they were gonna do if they come up with it? The last thing I saw was. I don't think it was a 5 or 6%.
So I've heard 5% for teachers, but usually that, they say an average of 5%. Usually the lower end teachers get more than the higher K teachers. And I've heard 1.5%, 3% and 4% or 4 or 5% for all other state employees, but they haven't given us any definite. And we've also been told that our hospitalization is gonna go up about $500 and our retirement rate's going up again.
We face the insurance ourselves. Me, I guess one other question, do you know how many teachers you have at North and South?
The 27. We licensed staff, we have about total staff, that's teachers. Living about 23 to 25. Left. Got exception to the enhancement teachers. As well as regular classroom. Yeah. So, he is best.
I'll take the easy one first. The capital projects. And then I go back, you said 1.1 million probably in
More over that, yeah.
kind of immediate needs on capital projects. I don't really have a problem funding the capital project. You know, as long as the work gets done, you know, I don't want the county to say, yeah, I'm gonna fund $1 million for capital projects, and then next year at this time, half of the projects are still waiting to be done. I don't have a problem with that. I'll let somebody else jump on the wagon for the supplement and the operator.
Can we go back to the capital again?
Yes, sir.
We're talking about maybe having one big project, high ticket items. You just can't check it. But that's doable.
That's doable.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be not to allocate, project money in capital outlay, but to hold it back and do a project ordinance and pay based on when the work is completed.
Well, I had a conversation with one of the board members Friday, and he said that would help them financially.
I agree, I'm looking into, that matter in done in several places around the state with great success. If this board is gracious enough to, allocate those resources, we would, be sure that they are spent appropriately. Because I can understand that it would break a relationship if we say we're gonna do something. So we can't get things, we can't continue to do things while we've done it. So, there's no approach. Not big for my board. Speak. My support. It was only question something with the logistics, like we can work that out. But we know that it's there. See.
But he suggested we're not doing all the money.
By number, the numbers associated. I don't remember ever seeing that. Because we'll need to look at that and decide what we should put in the project ordinance versus what we should upgrade in capital outlay.
Yeah, because he said he did not want to be tied down to nickels and dimes, the operating expense they need every day, not come to the county and say, okay, we need nuts and bolts for that. Just take the major items, slide it into a project, and then everything else goes into another county.
Yeah, but I will have to have a breakdown capital outlay in order to make the recommendation.
Sure, the loan is gonna be big number, really big number.
Well, I mean, like on the children's, I only got one price, we looked to get the pricing, and then come back with the project cost, but just the.
No, you said, Renee, we wouldn't include this capital spending in the budget ordinance. It'd be a project ordinance, something completely separate.
The projects would be a project ordinance that would be separate from the operating budget.
I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. Everybody good with going that route as far as project ordinance, if we come to agreement on capital spending. Well, let's just ask this. What's the dollar amount you're thinking about on capital spending that you can live with?
Full amount.
1.1. I don't have a problem with that.
After looking at the schools, I think they need as much as they can get.
Okay.
And we do have some money set aside for that.
Yeah.
Of that 927 is HVAC, 28,000 is roofing. Right.
So I'm going back to your original memo that I sent to the board on May 13th. That's where you had the HVAC systems, about 800,000, roofing 595, so 1.395 million.
And I think the difference would be the paving. Is that?
Yeah, but that number's higher than wait. Yeah.
I'm sorry, too many conversations. So when we did the first request, you asked to break down where there was two categories in all buildings, HVAC, HVAC. I know there's in HVAC there's other pumps and plumbing that I don't know that language as well. But I concur with the assessment you've given us in regards to 1.16. Because those that we gave was more of an estimate, but we had some people later have now possibly expired. Because the children's were 235,000 each, and with 3 of those that needed. So that takes a good. Yeah, that takes it, and so with the call, it adds up quickly.
Actually, the roofing cost is only $46,000, and then, so I was thinking the difference would be paving. HVAC roofing, balance paving.
How about just normal capital outlay, like replacing furniture and buses and stuff like that?
We need that too. The capital outlay budget that was proposed privately, I don't have a lot of insight. How they got to that. And would have been broken, they helped me out, and now I just got a number, and I was like, I gotta get something in, or we're gonna get the whole thing. And so I'm appreciative to be at the station, but those concerns is that we have not historically been buying things, furniture wise, we haven't employed. The last major classroom furniture we received was the high school. So if you go into East Wing, you're gonna see the 1978, 79 desk chair that was back there with the multicolors still being used in the building. Same thing with Oakwood, North, South. There's a lot of the original furniture came to the building. There's been some small purchases through classroom upgrades, Title I, those kind of things, but not a lot of capital outlay dollars have been spent for furniture. I can't speak on transportation.
So we budgeted last year in capital outlay for just like furniture replacement. It was less than $10,000. Cause we were trying to put our needs in other places.
Well, I'm looking at the capital request that you sent us on May 2nd. Furniture and computer equipment, 5,000, band instruments, 1,000, administrative furniture, 5,000, transportation equipment, 2,500, vehicles and maintenance, 17,000, and so on. Is that in addition to the 1.1 million?
That is my normal operating budget.
Well, there's 341,000 in HVAC in there. There's 35,450 in paving. And 20,000 in roofing repairs. So I'm trying to figure out what the number is, like that we put in regular capital outlay that's included in the budget ordinance. And then the number that we put in the project ordinance is not included.
Yeah, now that's what you said, okay. That's okay. So like move out
For last year or this year? Last year, our capital outlay was 798,000, but 266 was taken out of fund balance appropriated for chillers or boilers. So, on the flip side to the additional ask, we also received a small amount of ABC transfers that could go towards the other capital expenses, because we usually receive about $60,000 in that.
ABC transfers.
I mean, ABC revenues, excuse me.
So you're saying that you will pay for the rest of the capital from the ABC revenue if we fund the 1.1 million in a project ordinance.
You think you can do with that?
And let the budget forward to operate. And then we got all these major names that we're gonna have to have.
So that means zero in capital outlay in the budget. And then the 1.1 million will be in project ordinance for HVAC, roofing, and paving.
Do you foresee anything coming?
Yeah, so it's gonna take,
I'm going.
it's gonna take the 1.1 plus The budget
The
I had-
468?
I had the budget this year. The budget we got this year is just fixing, repairing, and keeping everything running every day. This is extra stuff that's been needed to be repaired.
So then we'll be looking at.
Right.
So you're looking 400,000 above that number.
Let me ask you this, you got 3 buildings. Yeah, you have to have 3 buildings, please.
No, sir. No, sir. Right now, north and south are taking the beat the worst. South is a 2018 model. We have replaced, I think 4 or 5 compressors. North has only had 2 compressors replaced. The Dillard has not had it. It's a 21-22 model, and it has not had a compressor replaced. But like I said, they are running at 120% day in and day out to keep the building cool. To keep it at 70 degrees. I don't know how long these chillers are designed to run at max capacity, day in and day out. So you're not. So if 5 years time down the road, you gotta put the same amount back in the chiller that you turn around and pay.
But if you get on some type of cycle, like we're buying ambulances, 1 year, you get one bill a year, right, but you know, like you see, you wait 2 years to replace it like.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Those are the newest, correct?
Right. North and south is where I've got to go a little bit of attention to start off with. Dillard is 10 years newer, so to speak, on the building, so I do have a little bit of leeway on Dillard.
So would that open up quite a fund for operating, maintenance? Child capital.
If we didn't do all of that this year, yes. But I think if you're gonna put it in a project, that money would have to be set aside because we wouldn't be able to put that in a project.
Right.
Because it would be our normal capital
Yeah,
operating.
that's what use project.
Right.
So
Reduce
we just have to
the
reduce it, so we can reduce the HVAC by 1 chiller. How much is that?
$235,000.
All right, so it's the 927 that. $692 for HVAC. If I did my math correctly. All right. Roofing, you've got $20,000 in regular capital outlay. We still need the 46 on top of that.
That's what I was going to add to it. Because just repairing the overhangs at north, I'm gonna be pushing 20. Replacing, just fixing 1 school overhang. The stucco work. No,
And how much is the paving?
paving is 71,000 at north and 50,000 at, south, I believe, unless I think that's what I got. I got back.
Got something to do with on.
Right, at Dillard, and I think where was that figure on this one from?
150.
150. Okay, so HVAC, the project ordinance would include 692 for HVAC, 46 for roofing, and 150 for paving. And then the regular capital outlay allocation and budget would be 400,000. So what I'm.
Yes.
You got a total on that budget, and the project ordinance.
Yeah. $888.
888. That's 2 chillers instead of 3. It's the only change between that and the original 1.1 million.
Which one is better than? School.
Yeah, the problem cut out Dillard, because it is my newest one.
I'm speaking, I'm saying. You're right, tonight. All good.
So I do need a breakdown by school of those amounts, so that we can put that in the project ordinance.
If you cut it to chiller, you also cut it to actuator.
I would still love to try to get some of the actuators. We don't have to change them out at all.
We could have put that back.
Yes, sir. I could trim it back or replace. Like right now, we'll replace them as they go out. So I'll buy a handful of them and replace them about $300 these days. I'll replace them as we go.
And how many is there you got a total ballot?
So each classroom has two. One for the hot water, one for cold water side. I also have a couple actuators to work with fresh air down, fresh air in, fresh air out. So basically, most of the classrooms, there have four. So you got to multiply that to just the number of classrooms. Number of rooms.
So you, how many in Dillon total? Is that what we're saying?
I think it's close to 300.
In the capital outlay, it has landscaping for $164,000. Is that?
That's good. That's good. So I tracked it out.
Contract about all the landscape.
I don't think that's an eligible capital expense. That would be an operating expense.
So. We are at $888,000 for project ordinance for capital outlay for the school system. Is that a number the board can live with? A number you satisfied with, because we have satisfied.
That can come out of capital reserve.
Right, but that won't be coming out of the general fund.
It's doable for school, where I think it's doable.
Yeah.
Definitely close. The store, building. That's right. Yes.
All right, I think we're good on that.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the supplements. Get that one behind us. I think that's the one on record, but it's mine. I'm gonna just go around the room. Start with you, Brian.
I'm glad you started with it. I want to make this comment about the supplement. I've been in education a long time, and I do know that opportunity shines best in the midst of crisis. Why do I call it a crisis? When you look at the data in the counties, Castle had not getting a supplement. I've been in Castle County teaching for 10 years, or 11 years. And, don't count this against me, but I don't know my coworkers, and working closely with principals. It's a tough task to try to keep a teacher in the building. The casino probably didn't help with all that money going over there. With that money, I think it was 20 million they got, so their teacher pay just shot up. We have an opportunity in the midst of crisis to help the teachers here. So I'm in agreement with the supplement. I really don't see it as that much.
How much?
Spread it out.
How much supplement are you thinking?
Well, at this point, I think we had already mentioned it by a flat fee. Anything would help. I mean, because, but to the show of professionals in the old courthouse where we normally meet, kind of speaks volumes. I just wanted to express that I'm in favor of it. There are many reasons that teachers leave the county. And, I can't put an amount on it, but give them something. It'd be a great opportunity. I believe we can do it. Like I said, when I think superintendent sent out a slide presentation, had the data there that had that zero there, didn't look too good. All the counties around us, certain geographical areas are getting supplement. It's draining, it's causing a vortex. Hinges on the doors and coming and going over there at the high school. I don't know about the middle of elementary, but they're coming and going. Somebody mentioned to me last week, one of my coworkers said, well, it doesn't really matter, but I said, yeah, it really does. Especially when you get a new teacher trying to come in. They'll go to Alamance or they'll go down to Hillsborough. They may even consider Danville, but a starting teacher make more than 25 years than me over there. That's my, those are my comments, but I'm for supplement.
Great.
I'm for the supplement. However, right now, kind of stuck in between because I think we're asking by our county one. Like I said, I love my teachers, I love my educators. I also love the county. So whatever we can come to in some kind of agreement on that, then like I said, I'm fine with it. And I was thinking of another little idea in a sense when it comes to certified and classified. I don't want to leave any of them out. However, if I was going to give more, I'm giving it to the certified. Just for that premise that they are the teacher. They are the certified teacher. I just don't want to leave, anyone out from that perspective. But like I said, look, there's a whole lot of hand trying to get over this pot of gold that we have right here. And but I'm like I say, I'm all for it. Just right now, I'm really not, I guess, set on how much. Because I have to see, kind of where I can be.
Cass was one of two counties in the state that didn't get supplements last year. The lowest was, I think Mitchell, $217, and then there's Jansen, $300. I feel like education is really important to the future of Castle County, to economic development, because when people look to come in here, they want a good education system. And I think teachers leave us and go to other counties for money. I think students leave us and go to other counties because of education, quality education. So somehow that's got to stop. You've got to keep our teachers here. I can't really tell you the amount in mind by now, because they kind of have back into operating expenses. What's going to happen with operating expenses? See what we have. We can't go a great deal on the tax bill. Can't do that. So I would like to reserve my comments on the amount.
Well, I have nothing in the world against teachers. Nothing. I appreciate everything they do. They've got a hard job, just like all of us have. And the supplements is something what I look at as a bonus, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And you said that the 1%, was it the 1% that equal out to $2,000? Is that correct? Scott?
1% equals, well, that's the 445,000. As far as the percentage.
Well, the 1% of the paying all the school employees getting the 1% raise. is equal to certified teachers getting a $2,000 supplement.
Flat rate.
I think it's like,
Um,
above full, that's it.
and I'm kind of like Greg, we're in a dilemma right now. You know, we're in the same boat y'all in. We're losing county employees to other counties because we just can't afford to pay them what some of these other counties can pay. You know, and like I said, we have to do the best we can do with the tax dollars. I'm not saying I'm against it. But I'm a little more on the line with Tony. I would rather be looking at a flat amount for everybody. A one-time flat amount, and I don't know what that number is right now. Cause the other thing is, even this amount right here, that's almost $500,000, and I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from.
So I know our time is short before our 5 o'clock meeting, but Renee has an idea that she wants to roll out to you, if you're ready to hear it. Not to interrupt if you weren't finished.
No, you're totally fine.
So I'll tell you that I like it. And I'll give credit to the person who actually had the idea, and if you hate it, you can blame me. So, the idea is to raise taxes 2 cents. To use that for a teacher supplement. Put the Article 46 sales tax back on the ballot for voter referendum at the primary at 10/26, and the deal is if voters approve the Article 46 sales tax, then the 2 cents would come off.
The Article 46 is how much? Half cent,
It's a quarter cent.
quarter cent.
And 2 cents of our tax rate, it's about 242, so 484 roughly, ballpark. 2
Yeah.
cents.
And let me look at the sales tax just to make sure that the numbers drive, because this came up at lunch.
But what amount would you be doing in supplements by doing this?
So if you got 484, you know, if you're looking at a flat rate, you know, that's gonna be a little more than 2,000. So of course, again, that was just teachers, you know, you had to recalculate that if you're talking about all employees.
See it?
Right?
I'm sorry.
After that 2,000 flat rate that was 443,
Is that wrong?
this would 2 cents would likely yield closer to 484, so. But we'd have to recalculate that because that was just for 166 teachers. And if there's a consensus that you want to do it for all school employees, that's to recalculate that.
So based on my quick and dirty analysis, if we did Article 46, we would generate 629,000 roughly per year. Or let's just call it 600, because all the refunds did not hit. And I have to back those out.
So you would be looking at a total of a 5 cent tax increase.
How much is the school bond recommended? What amount is that? Is it like 40 cents that we have not been charged?
Two, I think. Thinking it was 2, because the payment is, yeah, and 1 cent generates 240. That'll be over 2, because 2 cent will be 480. 3 cent will be 720. So it's closer to 3 cent than it is 2, Tony. think it's probably a good idea, but an almost 10% tax increase. It's a little hard for me to swallow. Be completely honest with y'all. We're paying 50, what now? 15. So another 5 cent would.
Can I have a question? Yes, sir. Okay, so over the, last few years, what have our taxes? Have they went up? Has it ever been up? Anything that make our tax go up? When was
Rebound.
that?
You have
Okay,
rebound
but
last
we
year.
have not been able to get to that yet, right, because it's not came up as this year.
We rate with that.
So
The
it went
rate went down,
considerably, the revenue neutral rate from seventy,
Same money.
never was sure exactly what it was, but it went from lower seventies down to 58.5 cents, proposing 3 cents before this idea.
Low savings. I could 58.5 this.
Yes,
In my mind, the 3 cents has been like this since 2018. It's going to vote for. For some reason, we've chosen not to tax them for that money. That's a lot of money, over 5-6 years. But that's the fact, like, we've got to get that. In my mind, that's a separate item. It needs to be a separate item on the tax bill. But I think we have to look at inflation. Inflation is real. We have to look at inflation every year, and I think we need to every year look at it, and it needs to go for tick, then go up on. Next year we'll look at it again. So we didn't invent inflation, but we have to deal with it.
True, very true. This is gonna be a discussion for another day, I can tell you on that. When do we have something else, another, if we needed another
well,
session?
well, yeah, I mean, I think one option, given the time, is to continue it to a date and time certain this week. If y'all could do this again, will that?
Can we do it tonight?
That's
part of the
available.
meeting, or?
So we have the budget on the meeting tonight, it's the first item, you could move that. We won't have a closed session tonight like it's on the agenda, we could move that down later in the agenda. And you could finish the discussion. Technically,
You're good with that,
I'm good with that.
right?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm kind of like Tony, I just would like whoever's listening out there to understand this, and he's right, this school was started on 2018. It's specifically stated. What everybody, it says, provided that additional taxes may be levied in the amount sufficient to pay the principal and interest on the bond, and we've never done it. Ever. We have kept it off the taxpayers' back. Since then. Yep. But, you know, we're gonna have to do something on that. As far as the supplements. Some numbers in my head I'm floating around, but,
Total employees was 3,
Roughly about 315-ish.
that's all school employees.
It's all school employees.
That's why,
That's
so
That's understandable.
that's actually why I was, I guess saying from the certified. To where if we were going in that route, and I've seen in a lot of school systems. After we're certified, we may get this amount. And then one that's not certified, but maybe get half.
All right, folks. We will adjourn at this location. and reconvene in our regular work session at 5 o'clock at Old House.
Should they make it?
Y'all got more questions?
Then, what advice do you need? I was going to do that.
I'd recommend you be there tonight, meeting, that discussion.
All right. Well, okay.
Well,
What time meeting start?
starts at 5.
We have our senior captain ceremony tonight. I'm sorry, I haven't seen, so maybe we should between the child.
You don't need to.
But I will come back to the United County Board session. Thank you. Get out there, it's my station. Y'all won't be there by 6.
No.